It's left the Liberal Party in turmoil, some within the party saying Malcom Turnbull's position is untenable and he could go as early as today. Here's a range of thoughts from Liberal MPs as they left Parliament House last night. It begins with Margaret May, Shadow Minister for Ageing.
I think it's absolutely vital that the party retains as wide a base as possible and that there is tolerance and respect for all views within the party. That's all I have to say.
These are always difficult judgments. I mean, I understand that it's important to maintain your base, but it's also important if you're going to win government that you get people who haven't voted for you before. So it is certainly my view that you need to look at these situations long and hard. I'll be talking to many of the people who've contacted me, where they've left their numbers, and we'll see how, as I discuss the issue with them, they see the matter. But
does Mr Turnbull have your support?
The leader always has my support, and Malcolm has enjoyed my confidence as leader and continues to enjoy it.
I think that the people who resigned have shown that they are truly loyal to the Liberal Party and its members. They are so angry that their heart is broken.
What option is left for Malcom Turnbull? What should he do?
His best option would be to accept that the party does not want to support the ETS, that the suggestion that the vote be deferred and that it in fact be referred to a committee is a very sensible suggestion.
Is his leadership tenable anymore? That's the question.
If he kind of see his way clear to represent the party and listen to what they say, then that is the right way for him to proceed.
Well, I think you can vote for Wilson, Tuckey and Tony Abbott. You can vote for Wilson and Tony Abbott, or you can vote for Malcom Turnbull. That's how it's going to come down. I'm impressed with Malcolm's substantial response, and I look forward to supporting him next week.
How much damage has this speculation done to the party, though?
Enormous amount of damage to the party, the Liberal Party vote as a whole. And I am concerned seriously about that issue. You can vote for the Wilson-Tuckey argument, or you can vote for the Malcom Turnbull argument. That's up to the people of Australia. And the most important person here is the people of Australia.
Yes.
I think the shadow ministers who resigned because they could not accept the decision of the party room have done the Liberal Party, incalculable damage, and that damage will count in votes. Thank you.
Malcom Turnbull's leadership?
They have damaged the Liberal Party.
Senior Liberal backbencher Petro Georgiou. Well, joining AM this morning is the Liberal Party leader Malcom Turnbull. To speak with him is our chief political correspondent, Lyndall Curtis.
Malcom Turnbull, welcome to AM.
Good morning, Lyndall.
You remain defiant this morning. What makes you believe you can and should stay?
Well, Lyndall, we have a responsibility as the Liberal Party to be a party of today and tomorrow, to be a progressive party. We have to be prepared and to take effective action on climate change. We were prepared to do that when we were in government. We took an emissions trading scheme to put a price on carbon to enable Australia to cut its CO2 emissions. We took that to the last election. In fact, we started legislating for it. Now, what we have done here with the full authority of the coalition party room is present a set of amendments to the government for good faith negotiations. We had 5 weeks of negotiations, and the government made concessions to us which most people thought were much greater than they would make. So everyone believed Ian Macfarlane had done an outstanding job. We came back to the party room. Hang on, Lyndall, hang on. We came back to the party room. The party room endorsed that deal. The people who do not want to do anything on climate change at all, and by and large don't believe that humans have got anything to do with climate change, they objected, and there was a spill motion moved against my leadership in the party room on Wednesday, which was defeated. Now, the fact is, the party has met and considered this issue twice in 2 days in the course of this week, and we should proceed. We've entered into a bargain with the government, so it's not just a question of our political credibility, it's a question of our political integrity. Can the Liberal Party honour a bargain it has entered into with the government to secure amendments which will save thousands of jobs and make the scheme more effective?
Even your supporters are saying privately that for you to stay is untenable. You've lost 12 frontbenchers and party whips this week. You have a party in disarray. How can you say that you can stay in those circumstances?
Well, Lyndall, I am the leader of the opposition. my position as Leader of the Opposition was confirmed in a party room meeting on Wednesday. So that's 2 days ago.
If there is a move for another meeting, if that option is offered to you, will you call one?
Well, look, it would say a lot about, and not much very good, I'm afraid, about the Liberal Party if we were to have another spill motion debated within less than a week after one had already been held. But if there is a move for another spill, then I'll consult with the whips, and subject to the availability of members and senators, we'll have a meeting, yeah, sure.
You spoke to many of your supporters in your office yesterday. Did any of them tell you it was time to go? Was that discussed?
Look, we discussed the issue. The fact of the matter is this. There was a very, what did I say? It was a rather febrile night last night, and there were a lot of people told me that, you know, some people had changed their minds, and then the same person would ring me and say they hadn't changed their minds. I think everybody in the party room has got to sit down and reflect over the weekend on what we're talking about here. This is not a game. We are talking about the future of our children and their children. We're talking about the future of our planet. We're talking about whether we, the Liberal Party, want to be a credible, progressive political movement of the 21st century. The people that have sought to tear me down do not even believe in the policies we took to the last election. They basically believe or regard John Howard as being too green. They don't believe in climate change. They don't think we should take any action on climate change. Now, this is contrary to the views of the vast majority of Australians. And a party that there is, I am not aware of any major political party in any country, any developed country in the world, that has a climate change denial, do nothing on climate change platform. It is irresponsible from an environmental point of view, and it is completely and utterly self-destructive from a political point of view.
Do you believe you still have enough senators who will vote at 3:45 for a gag motion if one is necessary, or vote to get the legislation through?
Well, Lyndall, the Senate does not, and I'm not a senator obviously, but my understanding is the Senate very rarely moves the gag to curtail debate. So, you know, whether debate, that's up to the senators. They do that much less frequently, or very, very rarely, compared to, say, the House.
But the government says it has an agreement with you that the vote will happen at 3:45.
Well, the commitment was, and I had this commitment from Senator Minchin last night, that he would use his best endeavours to ensure that the legislation was through the Senate by 3:45. Now, having said that, there is going to be a motion to defer, you know, to basically push the legislation off to a committee, which is just a method of denying passage of the legislation. That's obviously the purpose of it. If that is unsuccessful, then the debate should wind up by 3:45. But it may be that because of the time people take to speak on it, that it spills into Monday. But that's really a matter for the Senate.
Do you believe that there are 7 senators from the Liberal Party who will vote to get this legislation through?
Well, I am confident that the senators, or a substantial number of them, will act in accordance with the decision of the shadow cabinet, supported and endorsed by the party room, and not simply endorsed by the party room, but, if you like, ratified by the party room when the spill motion was defeated on Wednesday.
MPs say they've been flooded with calls and emails from Liberal Party voters calling on you not to back the government scheme. Do you risk losing your base if you do so? Look,
Lyndall, I've seen that, and the email campaigns are a feature of political life. The fact that, and you get them on all sorts of issues. The fundamental reality is this: our ability to be a credible political party depends on securing the support of the majority of Australians. The vast majority of Australians.
But that includes your base as well.
The vast majority of Australians want to see action on climate change. If this legislation is knocked back, Kevin Rudd will have no choice but to go to a double dissolution election. This is a fundamental plank in his platform, and the issue will not be this design aspect of the ETS or that design aspect of the ETS. It will be, do Australians want to take action on climate change or not? And the vast majority of Australians do.
But Mr Turnbull, to be fair to people in your party, there are many saying that they want action on climate change, they just don't want the government scheme. Isn't the fact that there are people in your party who are not deniers, who are not sceptics, who want a delay, will vote for a delay, and want you to accept that there should be a delay? They're not asking for no action, they're asking for different action.
Well, I don't know what that different action is. Let me be quite clear about this. I am...
A differently designed emissions trading scheme, a different way to attack the problem?
Lyndall, let's just be quite clear about this. The scheme is now differently designed. We took very substantial amendments that to the government with the full authority of the party room. We were authorised, or Ian Macfarlane in particular, was authorised to negotiate with the government in good faith. The party room overwhelmingly endorsed that. We took those amendments to the government and we achieved substantial concessions. In some areas, they gave us everything we asked for. So the scheme has been substantially redesigned. Now, the reality is that you'll always have people arguing about this aspect of design or that aspect of design. The Australian people want their government to get on with the job. They want their parliament to get on with the job of taking action on climate change. John Howard himself has said, and he said this before the amendments, said Kevin Rudd's emissions trading scheme is very similar to the one we proposed when we were in government. Now, what we have done is achieve substantial concessions. We've had direct emissions from agriculture exempted. We've had agricultural offsets recognised. We've had more effective protection for tens of thousands of jobs in the emissions-intensive trade-exposed industries. We've ensured the security of electricity supply from our coal-fired power stations by redesigning the support there. We have achieved substantial changes to improve the scheme as a result of good faith negotiations, and when you negotiate in good faith and you get most of what you ask for, the result of that is you support it. That is the bargain we've struck. So it's not just our political credibility, it's our integrity that's at stake here.
What would happen to the party if it had to fight a double dissolution on this issue?
The party would be, we would be wiped out. This would be the idea that we would go, I mean, you've got to ask yourself, have we learnt nothing from 2007?
Have you seen polling to confirm that view, or is it your gut instinct?
No. Well, there is public, and we have our own polling, obviously, and there's public polling, but the question is this. The question is going to be, and you know as well as I do, the vast majority of Australians want to see action on climate change. The people who have sought to tear me down, whether it's Nick Minchin or others, are doing so, and Nick Minchin's been on the ABC himself saying he doesn't believe that humans are causing climate change. He thinks it is a hoax. He's talked about left-wing conspiracies. There is a minority in the Liberal Party who will do anything to ensure the party does not take action on climate change. And I just say this to you. There is one thing that these people who are trying to wreck our party agree with Kevin Rudd on. They both want to have an election on climate change. And they should think about that, because Kevin Rudd knows that if he has an election, whether it's a double dissolution election or not, and the issue boils down in the mind of the Australian people, which party can we trust to take effective action on climate change, the party that the Australian people trust will win in a landslide. That is the political reality. Every poll supports that, and those people who advocate that we should become the climate change do-nothing party are really underwriting the demise of the Liberal Party. It is as serious as that.
As we sit here today, there are people in your party saying your leadership is untenable. There are people expecting a spill motion, a party meeting on Monday. There are people canvassing people like Joe Hockey for leadership. Will you still be leader of the party this time next week?
I believe so. The party will make that decision. I've always said the leadership of the party is in the hands of the party room. The party room considered the matter of my leadership less than 48 hours ago, on Wednesday. And as you know, there was a spill motion moved to declare the position of leader vacant, and it was defeated by 48 votes to 35. So the party made that decision. Now, you would think that people who were committed to the party would say, okay, we've had the meeting, the matter was considered, it was resolved, let's move on. But less than 24 hours after that meeting, the people whose desire to get rid of me and change the party's policy was defeated. If their objective was defeated, they then set about to tear me down and change the policy to one of do nothing on climate change. Now, I don't believe in that. I think that is the wrong policy. I think everyone in Australia knows that. But it is also electorally self-destructive. You see, it doesn't matter, even if you have doubts about the science, and that's fine. You go right back to some of the greatest conservative leaders of our lifetime, like Margaret Thatcher in 1990. She said, as I do, I recognise and respect the doubts that people have. I recognise and respect sceptics. I mean, that's fine. But you have to then ask yourself, what are you going to do? Are you going to take a risk management approach like every other government in the world is doing, like every other major political party is doing, or are you going to do nothing? You know, as Rupert Murdoch famously said, and Rupert Murdoch is a hard-headed, naturally sceptical person, I think as we all know, he said you've got to give the planet the benefit of the doubt. And that is the only responsible course of action. Now, we've been debating this issue for a long time. We made a decision. Remember this. We, the coalition, led by John Howard, made a commitment to an emissions trading scheme, and it wasn't just an election promise. We started legislating for it. So we were on track. This was commitment to an emissions trading scheme. Used to be bipartisan. What we've now got is a group of people within the Liberal Party, Parliamentary Liberal Party, who want to go back into time. They are acting as though they regard John Howard as a greenie, and he's not.
Malcom Turnbull, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Lyndall.